Coming up in today's programme, cocaine on campus. We examine the issue of drug use in the light of the recent Exposé investigation. National embarrassment, or one of the highlights of the university year? We have the latest reactions to the cancellation of the Safer Sex Ball. And we take you through this week's local news stories.
Hello, you're watching XTV News. I'm Teeny Papatheodorou.
And I'm Rob Seabrook.
Last week, Exeter's very own student newspaper, Exposé, broke a controversial story. After swabbing a number of sites in and around campus, it was reported that many campus areas tested positive for high levels of cocaine. Kate has the full story.
The student newspaper Exeposé recently conducted an investigation into drug use here at Exeter and reported that traces of cocaine have been found in many non-recreational areas, such as academic buildings and the library. This suggests a much greater problem than has been recognised. Deputy editors of Exeposé say the relaxed attitude of the university is worrying. We had a chat with editor Tom Payne about the issue. So, Tom, where were the highest levels of cocaine found on campus?
We found the highest levels in the physics building and in Queen's building, and we also found pretty large amounts of trace quantity in Northcote House and in Northcote Theatre.
Right. Did those results surprise you?
We didn't really expect to find results in Northcote House because that's where the senior university staff all have their offices, but we did expect to find positives perhaps in the RAM or maybe in the Lemmy.
And what did you think of the university's reaction to the story?
Well, as it says in Exposé, we thought that the university's response wasn't quite proportionate to the severity of our findings. We wanted to see something more in the way of what they were going to do with regards to perhaps an internal investigation or in terms of broadening or publicising their support services for students who are suffering from serious drug abuse.
Did you receive much criticism over it?
Well, obviously with a story this big, you're going to have critics. A lot of people did draw attention to our testing methods. What I'd say to them is that the swabs were brought from specialist providers and they're used in constabularies across the UK in proper investigations.
Do you think Exeter does have a cocaine problem, or do you think it's indicative of a wider drugs culture?
I don't think Exeter is exceptional when you compare it with other large universities. Obviously we have a huge amount of staff and students, all from very diverse backgrounds. What I would say is that we found cocaine traces all across campus in many different areas, so it suggests that perhaps it's a lot more widespread than people might expect. Okay,
well thank you very much for your time, Tom. Leading on from Tom's comments, we spoke to Grace Hopper, the sabbatical officer for Welfare and Community, about the investigation.
So Grace, what is your reaction to the Exposé investigation?
I think it's a very interesting story. I think they've obviously put some hard work into it. I think that it'd be interesting to see now what those findings actually mean. So, for example, how long's the residue been there for, and kind of having more of an understanding of what that means and what behaviour it relates to.
And in your capacity as Vice President for Welfare and Community, do you generally see much evidence of drug use on campus?
No, not at all. I work very closely with the university student support services, and they haven't reported anything to me or in their findings. This hasn't been an issue at all.
Do you have any advice for students who might come across this sort of activity?
Yes, if you are a victim of anything related to these issues, we've got lots and lots of student support services. So we've got the Guild Advice Unit, we've also got Voice, the Uni Nightline, we've got the wellbeing services within the university as well, and we've got the student support services as well, and of course the Student Health Centre, so there's a really, really long list. So I'd encourage any student to approach any of those, and they'll be put in the right direction and hopefully supported appropriately.
Well, thank you very much, Grace. Back to you, Rob.
Thanks very much for that, Kate.
In other news, the Students' Guild have made the decision to cancel the well-loved Safer Sex Ball. We asked Lydia to explain.
Student Fundraising Society RAG have organised the ball for the last 21 years, raising awareness of sexual health issues. But the risque dress code and release of CCTV footage has prompted a negative media storm, causing the controversial decision to be made to ban the ball. We asked students and staff whether they thought this decision was right. So what do you think about the SSB being cancelled?
I was pretty disappointed, really. I mean, I've been here for 3 years, and one of the best nights of the year for me, so yeah, I really enjoy it, so I think other people should be able to enjoy it too.
Perhaps if it could take a different stance without objectifying women, perhaps, without having such a sexual undercurrent. We could achieve the same goals without it necessarily being so detrimental.
I think a lot of students get a lot of pleasure from it, so we should have kept it going, but it's never really interested me, so I don't think I'm going to miss it.
I've kind of got mixed feelings about it. I've been reading quite a lot of articles about kind of the backlash about it, and I've read that loads of charities are really annoyed about it because they're going to have, you know, thousands of pounds they had guaranteed every year, just not going to be coming in. So really, I don't think I agree with it.
It is clear that the response to this news is mixed, with some students glad to see the back of it and others excited for a revamp. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Thanks, Lydia, and here's a roundup of local news.
One of Exeter's high street jewellers, Ernest Jones, found themselves the target of a violent smash and grab robbery. 3 men are reported to have used hammers to smash their way into the store, making off with £500,000 worth of Rolex watches. Police have launched a nationwide search for their suspects.
Prince Charles and Camilla are set to visit Exeter's historical cathedral to recognise the cathedral's successful fundraising campaign. The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall will be given a tour before they attend a service to celebrate the work of the fundraisers. Public access will be available on a first-come, first-served basis.
Lastly, student safety becomes a priority once again. A serious sexual assault took place on the evening of the 16th of February. This is not the first assault to take place in the popular student area of St James. Students are reminded to take precautions on their way home.
From all of us at XTV News, take care and have a good evening.